first Wonder Woman was a triumph on all fronts. It was a global phenomenon. I mean, still, you always hear directors talk about how, they can't watch their own movies without second guessing like certain decisions. Like, did you have any self-critiques that you wanted to address from the first movie or lessons learned from part one that you wanted to apply to part two?
Yeah, there were many aspects of this technically where I really felt like I got a much better result of what I was looking for. And even in process, like once you really understand the whole process beginning to end of something of this size, I was able to hire some different positions and move things around. I also, however, aimed much bigger. And so it was full of new, very complicated things that no one had ever done. So we all had to kind of figure them out.
What was the most daunting thing you had to figure out?
Doing massive, elaborate wire work things that people just do on CG now. So like the mall sequence, there's not a single digi-double or CG element. It's 100% real stunt happening. And so that's 3 stories, huge space, flying around over things, through things, and it was all done on elaborate wire system. So, all of my rigging guys would say, no one's ever done this before. Like, we don't know we're trying to figure out how to do it because the technology didn't exist when people used to shoot stuff like this. So it was awesome to watch these people rise to the occasion and do it.
You know what? I'm ready to go.
I think we can do better.
Parachute pants?
Yeah.
Does everybody parachute now?
This one has, I think, a noticeably lighter tone, definitely more jokes, in large part thanks to Kristen Wiig, who is amazing, and she just brings perfect levity to it. But how important was that to make this a funnier Wonder Woman?
Very important, particularly because, listen, I felt we were doing the right thing with the first one. It was great to have the humor between Diana and Steve, but then it goes into heavier thematics, and that was the right thing to do. The truth, though, is I love a great balance in a superhero movie. And particularly Wonder Woman is such a light and loving and fun character, also played by a very funny actress. So when I started thinking about how we were going to do this, and we were going to be saying goodbye to people like Lucy Davis, who was such a joy in the first movie, it was really important to me to find sparkly, great, funny people who are also capable of great drama to put in this one.
There's an early sequence where Diana saves a number of women and girls from men. There's a would-be assaulter who's fended off. There's a lot of gawking and skeeziness from men towards both Diana and Barbara that they have to deflect. Wonder Woman has obviously long been a symbol of female empowerment, but was that sort of a conscious goal this time around to have her confront more of this real world sexism and harassment that women have to face in real life? No,
it wasn't a goal. It actually just was particularly so true back then. It's hard to avoid. It was funny speaking to the male producers. I was saying, for years we've had movies about amazing men, and there are lots of amazing men, and there's only one woman who's not like a cardboard cutout in the whole movie. I'm like, well, here we have Pedro, who we're loving, we have Chris Pine, who we're loving, but yes, women, beautiful women in the world walking through encounter all of this kind of other stuff. So it just kind of came naturally, particularly when you're inherently doing scenes where beautiful Gal Gadot is walking around in crowds of people. You would just be lying if you acted like men wouldn't be hitting on her all the time. They would be. It just sort of would happen naturally when we're doing scenes. You're just directing people to behave as they would have at that time.
You mentioned recently that you tossed out Justice League in terms of its handling of Diana because it contradicted your films. I mean, a lot of fans feel that film over-sexualized Wonder Woman, like when it came to certain shots of her body, or there's a moment where the Flash falls on top of her. I mean, did you share those sort of specific kind of critiques?
Yeah, I was uncomfortable with who she was and how she was seen. I never ended up seeing the super final cut, but it sounded to me like it was similar. But yeah, definitely.